Amazing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you, world? Yes, yes, yes. This is a platform where we are able to speak to the world. How are you doing today? I don't know what time it is at your place, but we are excited. We are super excited about today's show as I'm hosting a winning warrior. And I'm going to give you a few minutes so that you can get some people in. We are sorry we are late, but we are now here and we are excited about what is coming our way. So please invite a friend or two and we will be starting shortly. I have no rights to the music, Facebook. Please don't shut me down. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to today's show. Please invite somebody. I have no right to the music. Amazing. We want to start. Yes, as I said, Karibuni sana. You're most welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching us from today. I have today an amazing, and when I talk about an amazing, phenomenal woman, this is a warrior, one who has gone through it all. I'm talking about the high waters. I'm talking about the deep valley. I'm talking about the stinky cave. You know, that place where it's just ugly, that nobody wants to get there. She has gone through all that, and she has graciously agreed to be with us today to be able to just talk to us through her journey. And of course, most importantly, to learn. Now, some people were asking me, Pastor Terry, what do you mean a warrior? Like, how do you qualify to being a warrior? Am I able to share my testimony? Because I have conquered it all? And my answer to you is no. It is not because you've conquered it all. We are still on a journey. It is a day-to-day journey. It's about waking up and saying to yourself, it's going to be a good day, regardless of what is before you, regardless of the thoughts that have crossed your mind. It is a deeper healing that God has enabled us. But then again, it's a struggle. It's something that you wake up and say, there has to be better. So without further ado, I want to welcome you to my guest today, Karibu Sana Selin. Please welcome, welcome, welcome. Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a little bit about yourself before you begin sharing the testimony.
Good evening, good afternoon, our viewers. My name is Celine. I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a warrior. You cannot box Celine. You cannot put Celine into a box. I am so many things.
Yes.
I do so many things, and I work mostly with women who are on their healing journey. Because I think the experiences have been true qualifying.
Amazing. Celine, please lift your voice up. Please put your volume a bit higher. I can see someone telling me your volume is a bit too low. Kindly add your volume from your end. Amazing. So that is Celine. As you've heard, I just love the introduction. Even as we begin, she says you cannot box her. Period. You know.
And I'm also born again.
Amen.
I'm born
Amen.
again and I love the Lord. Yes.
Amen. So when we're talking about
Yeah.
Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who
Yes.
strengthens me. That basically
Yes.
explains our guest today. I can do all things. So
Yes.
I'll avoid limiting yourself, avoid limiting yourself on what you think you can do or what you think you cannot do. But I think it's important
Mhm.
for us to be able to stretch out our wings and allow God to be able to take us to the heights that He wants to take us. Now, selling. Please tell us where
Yes.
your journey begins when we're talking about sexual, gender based violence. Has it met you once, twice, thrice? Like, what does your story look like? Because I know your story is just a monster of a story, so to speak. But then I also know that you have a monster of a testimony of the goodness of the Lord. It's a
Of the
huge,
Lord.
huge mountain. And
Yes.
I want our viewers to be able to partake of the faithfulness of God and the kind of strength that you needed to pull out to be where you are today. So please walk us through.
Well, I would say my journey starts when I was young. I was 4 when my mom and dad separated, and I was left with my dad. And mom just went away. I actually met her last year,
Wow.
and around 7 years to 8 years, my dad's cousin came to stay with us.
Hmm.
And that's when the sexual molest started. I was 7 years and 8 years, and I couldn't tell anyone. By this time, my dad had passed on. So I had absolutely no one to share my story with. And then I had become this very quiet child. And I think my relatives were not ready to bring up a child. So there was no that environment to speak it out. And each time I would say something, I would get some hard beating. So I stopped telling anyone and I lived with it. I was young, I was 8 years, 7 years, 9 years. And the molest continued until I joined high school. And 14 years.
Hmm. Sorry about
Can you
that.
hear me?
Let me take you
Sorry
back.
about that.
We got a little bit of blacker, but let me take you a little bit back. When you talk about
Mm,
molestation at the age of 7, 8, 9, at this point,
mm.
who are you living with at this time?
Okay, when mom left, she left us with dad. Then dad passed on when I was 7 years. So I
Yes.
was living with my grandparents
Okay.
and my dad's brothers and sisters,
Okay.
basically my relatives.
So the people who were involved in this, in this terrible act are actually your relatives. They're people well known to you, or are
relatives.
these total strangers?
Yes, yes, my dad's cousins. Those who come to live from the village, they come to the town to live with you,
I hear
and they
you.
would be molest you. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So it was a journey I underwent, and so I became a quiet child, a very quiet child. I couldn't speak to anyone until I joined high school, and it continued until Form 1. And I had absolutely no one to share with. It was
Yeah.
shameful, and they threatened me, and they said, if you tell anyone, we will kill you. And I also thought that no one would believe me, considering how my uncles treated me each time I did something.
Okay.
Actually, I'm full of scars in my body from the beatings I got from them each time I did something. So I didn't have a safe environment. I didn't feel safe.
Hmm.
So when I went to high school, when I joined high school at 15 in Form 2, I actually met the first man who said the words, I love you.
Volume,
I
please.
never,
Sorry. Volume, please.
okay.
Yes.
So in high school, I basically met the first one who said, Celine, I love you. And I that was something to me. I've never heard those words from anyone. And
Yes.
so those words got to me. And within no time in Form 2, I was pregnant.
Hmm.
And I knew that this was this. I didn't know what to do because
Yeah.
no one was going to take me in. I'm living with relatives who won't understand me. I cannot tell them anything. And
Yeah.
so I decided to get married and eloped with him. I was in Form 2 at 15 years old.
Wow.
I had my yes.
Hmm.
So I had my first child at
Whoa.
And the father was 20 years old, a gap of 15. So we were children.
And you're still living at your grandparents, right? With your grandparents.
No, no, by this time I'm living with him.
Okay.
And
Oh,
yes, and by 18 years old, I had gotten another child. So I had my first child in my teenage years. And he is a man who is not ready. We are in a relationship, an on and off relationship. He was not ready, I was not ready. But what was I to do? I'm the woman, of course, I had to take care of the children. And so I decided, whatever may come, I'll not leave my children the way my mom did.
yeah.
And so I decided now I will stick with them. And life continued with him, sometimes with him, sometimes. Actually, when I got pregnant the second time, I was not living in his house. He was moving out with my best friend. He was having an affair with my best friend, yes. And I remember when I was having my second child, I was alone in the house.
Mm-hmm.
My first child was a year, and when I was having my second child, I was alone in the house. The labor pain came for 3 days. I was alone. I
What?
pushed the baby the bad day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got my second child. And
So,
it
sorry,
is this,
the network went a little bit off there. So, when you're getting your second child, this is 3 days in labor, all by yourself in the house.
yes,
What age are you this time?
18,
Oh my God.
18. And I
What?
have a 3-year-old. Yeah, yes, yeah,
So, a child got two children because you're still a child. A child got two children.
children.
Oh my
And
goodness.
this,
So,
this person,
so how did you? So after 3 days of labor, you finally gave birth. Were you in the house or did you manage to go to hospital?
I was in the house alone for 3 days. Yes, no one was with me. Yes,
Oh my goodness. So you finally
yeah.
gave birth?
I finally gave birth, and I went. By this time, we had separated. I had gone back to my grandparents' house, but this time, grandmother had passed on,
Oh.
and so there was absolutely no one who wanted to see me or hear about me.
Mm-hmm.
So when things became too tough, I went back to my husband. And so I decided, whatever will happen, let me go back to him because at least he's the father. And life continued until he got, God made a way and he left the country. And life changed for us because we could spend money. Life
Okay.
changed for us. And I did, yes, and I did some investments here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And after 2 years, he came back and he came back to see us. And he said to me, since I'm going back, let's have our third baby because we had already said we wanted 3 of them.
Okay.
And that's when we got pregnant again, and things changed for me. He would bring women in the house in my presence. Yeah, sometimes he would bring three, sometimes two, and I was so used to sleeping on the couch. Each time he would come home in the wee hours in the morning.
Selena, I need to
Yes,
understand this pretty well because this is really twisted. Okay. So are we talking about the father of your two children?
yes. And
So
by this time, I am
he
pregnant again.
and now you're having the third child,
Yes,
and now he is
yes,
bringing women to the house,
yes.
your marital home. But now our situation had changed in terms of finances, right?
Finances, yes. But
How
he would
why
bring women
did you
in
say
the house.
pregnant? Yes, talk to us.
He would ask me to sleep on the couch while they did their things in my bed. And I had absolutely nowhere to go. So I decided I would be sleeping on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One day when I was 5 months pregnant, he came home in the wee hours of the morning with three women. Two of them were my friends who I knew. Yeah, and they locked the bedroom door. The bedroom was upstairs, and I was sleeping on the couch in the sitting room. And they would make a lot of noise. They would mourn. And since the children were in the house, I knocked on the door, and I wanted to ask him to at least shut down the noise. Came out last week, and I rolled down the stairs. I was 5 months pregnant. That's when I decided this is enough. I am leaving. He threw some money at me and told me go and have an abortion. Yes, and that is the day I took my children. And my pregnancy, I was 5 months pregnant. And I left. That is the last time I was in that house.
So did you live with
So,
your children?
yes,
Did you pack up and go? What was that experience like for you?
it was a tough experience, but I think I had this inner strength in me,
Yeah.
and I kept things to myself, so it didn't take me long to move on.
Okay.
But it hurt so bad, yeah? And I the money was he had thrown some money at me, 20,000, and
Okay.
I knew between this and whatever I was going to do, this is the only money I have. So I
Mm.
looked for a small house
Yes.
around 500 shillings. I paid it for around 500 shillings. I took the other money and started a business of. I used to sell charcoal. I would get charcoal in retail and sell it in wholesale. And I
Mhm.
did the business until I gave for the next 4 months until I gave back to my daughter.
Okay.
It was another 3 years. It was another 3 years. Yeah.
So
And so
first
after
was
some 3 months,
fun, yes. Second was natural.
yes, and the third one was 3 years.
Okay. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I decided with the little money I have in my account, I need to start a business.
Mhm.
My baby was 3 months old. All we would live in poverty. And so I decided to start a business. I started buying clothes, new clothes from Italy and
Mhm.
taking them to Southern Sudan.
Okay.
Started going to Southern Sudan. At this time, I had left my daughter with a woman I knew.
Mhm.
So I had to stop my breastfeeding my child. So I started going to Southern Sudan and the business did so well. I had money. Sorry, I had money.
Amazing. Amazing. So your children's life is turning around. You're feeling good.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. I took
Mhm.
them to good schools. I went to a big house, and things were doing well. Things were looking up for me until one day I bought a second-hand phone.
Okay.
Uh, and it was a second-hand phone, and unfortunately, it was a stolen phone. And
Mm.
so I was tracked down, taken to court, and slapped with a cash bill of 150. And I knew I had that money. I was not worried. What I did is I called my best friend and I gave her my ATM and told her, tomorrow you will go to the bank, withdraw some money, the following day you withdraw because you can't withdraw 150 at once.
Yes, yes.
The following day you withdraw and you will withdraw until the money is enough so that you can come and pay bail for me.
Exactly.
I was not worried that I would be taken to prison for 1 week. And so that was the worst mistake I made. She disappeared. I never saw her. Yes.
What?
And so for 1 year, 8 months, I was in Langata remand section.
Hold on. Wait. When you get to a point of telling someone to have your PIN number, this is someone, of course, you trust, you consider close
Yes.
to you. And so
Mm-hmm.
this dear friend just decided to not, what?
Yes. For 1 year, 8 months, I was in prison. I was in Langata until my case was withdrawn for lack of evidence. I didn't know where my children were. I didn't know anything about the outside. Nobody knew where I was.
Oh my
Absolutely no one.
goodness. A person you
Yes.
consider a friend.
He was my friend. He was someone I had grown up with. He was
Okay.
my friend since childhood. Yes. And so when I left prison, now nobody wanted to be with me. The
Mhm.
stigma. You've been in prison, you're a bad person.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what was happening is my children were hopping from one field to another. And I found them with a friend, and what she told me is, "You come, take your children, go." And I remember asking her, "Where do you want to go? What do you want me to go? I've just come from prison. It's late. Where do I go?" And she told me, "I do not know." So the next thing I did is I went to church and I explained to my pastor what is happening and what is happening. And what he told me is, "I can't help you. Take this 100 shillings, go buy food for your children, and make sure you don't get pregnant again." Those are the exact words he told me. Yeah, this notion I've been in prison. So,
Oh, okay, wait. So
yeah,
this is the pastor who told you this?
yes.
I am so sorry on his or her behalf. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And so that's why I always started the life of sleeping on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would do casual jobs. We we would get food, and sometimes we just sleep on the lodging if I got money. When I don't have, we sleep on the street.
Yeah.
That's how I was. That's how I was hungry for the very first time on the street, sleeping on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember I don't know where those men came from. There were like 15 of them, and they just gang raped me.
This is in
And
the middle of the night. Where were your children?
they were there. But how they slept throughout their due, I do not know. I do not know.
Mm-hmm.
And
So this was a
so,
gang raid.
well, yes, like
Mm-hmm.
almost like 15 or 12, around 15 or 12. So they gang raped me and they sodomized me. And it was so painful. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have anyone to tell. Even there's no one to tell except this friend I had met in prison, and her name is Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to hospital. I was treated at Kenyatta National Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kept it inside me. There was so much baggage in me, and life continued.
Just
And
as life is continuing, were your children, were they able to, did they see what happened that night?
I don't think they saw.
Okay.
They came to learn about it later.
Okay. And so
But
how were you able to balance it? Because this heinous act has just happened. It's a gang rape, and it's so many people. And then you have your three children, right?
mhm,
And so how do you move? What do you tell them? Because you're trying to take care of yourself and you're trying to take care of the
yeah,
children at the same time. Where did you get the
yeah.
strength, Lynn? Where did you get the strength?
Uh, I, I got help. My friend reached out to a certain church,
Mhm.
and they helped me a lot. They paid my rent. They would do my shopping, and my children went back to school. And
A
so they
friend
said,
in church?
"We will take." Pardon?
You said a friend in church?
Yeah. No, a friend reached out to a certain church. This friend
Okay.
Teresa I met in prison,
Yes.
she reached out to a certain church. She was starting her NGO, her organization at that time. No?
Okay.
So
Oh,
she reached out to a certain church, and they helped me a lot.
oh.
They paid for rent, and
I think we're having some network issues there, but Selling will be back. Even as we wait for Selling to be back, for the network to behave, I can see there we're hanging. I want us to remember what she talked about, that she didn't even have somebody, she didn't even have someone who she can talk to when this thing began. She didn't even have, so when the mother left, when the mother died, rather, when the mother left them with the father and the father died and they ended up staying with the grandparents, parents when the molestation began, because we are always trying to look at the root. Is there any introduction to some things, or it's just from nowhere? And when this thing began, she did not have any place to go. She did not have any person to talk to. And these were relatives, you know. And when you're looking like the outsider, so to speak, your mom left you, and now your father died, and you look like people really do not care about you. You can end up, it's such a tricky place to be, where you're very confused and wondering who to talk to. And I'm just encouraging a survivor out there, talk to someone. The worst thing you can do to yourself is to keep quiet when atrocity is happening to you, when whatever it is happening to you. The worst thing you can do to yourself, the worst injustice you can do to yourself, is when you decide that I'm not going to talk about it. When you decide, hey, you know what? This one is a bit too much. I'm not able to say to anyone. No, it doesn't work like that. Thank you so much, Stalin, for just coming back. I was basically talking to our viewers and just letting them know how the genesis on how you were not even able to talk to anyone with introduction of molestation, and just encouraging people to be able to talk to someone when something is happening. So we were talking about how your friend was able to reach out to a church, and they were able to really help you. And I just want to point out at this time, there was a pastor who just really shushed you away. Don't, make sure you don't get pregnant again here, help those little pennies and move on. And then there was yet another church, of course, another pastor who carried your burden. So our viewers, it's not all bad. I see nowadays we bash the church so much. A pastor can trip, one pastor will trip and another pastor will hold it. There's always a remnant. So don't lock the door just because one person did wrong by you. There's always someone else who is willing to just hold your hand. Yes. So talk to us at this point.
These are people who didn't know me. I didn't attend that church even once. They didn't even ask me to attend their church services. They just pay my rent. They just do anything. Whenever I had a problem and I would go to them, they would come running. And they didn't even ask me for a single day to attend their church.
Jesus, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, and life continued. And this time I thought I was healed.
Yes.
Physically, because inside me I was crying out. I was crying out. I needed some reprieve. I needed some healing, and I didn't know where to get it because I knew that I had been very deep wounds. Until now, my friend, the friend I met in prison had started organization, and she said, "Celine, why don't you come work with us?" And I was happy. At least I have someone that I can friend for my children. I joined this organization that works with women in prison, and I was taken to children department, and I was so happy because now I am doing something that I love, working with women, and I thank God because I saw Him healing so many women through me. But I knew inside I was a time bomb, and I couldn't continue. Yes. So one time on my way home, I had spent the whole day sending in 2017, Christmas of 2017. I had spent the whole day sending Christmas presents to children in prison all over Kenya. And so I got home at around 9:30. Just a few meters from my gate, I met these guys.
How many
They were sitting, 6 of them. And they just said hi. I said hi. I thought these are people who know me. And I said hi. Just a few meters from my gate. And they asked me they told me, Mama. And I asked, why are you telling me this? They said, just Mama. And so I stood and I thought these are cards and they just want my hand back. And actually I had money with me. And my instinct reached for my instinct. I reached for my bag to give them, and they asked me, people do that, we want your handbag, we want followers. One came from my left side and the other one to my right side. And one of them showed me a gun. He had a gun slung over his one side, and we had a court. And actually, he told me, if you meet someone and you talk to them, we will kill both of you. And I was scared. These are gun welding tags, and you don't know where they're taking you. You don't know where you're going with them.
Exactly.
And so I followed them. I obeyed and I followed them. And they led me to a thicket just not far from home. And they stole my clothes and they gang raped me. It was so painful. Actually, I've never felt that way because now I was still healing and I passed out. I remember I passed out. Because they gang raped me and then they sodomized me. And then they remember them very well. Even my mind keeps recollecting because they were not your usual bags. Yeah, and I I remember when I woke up, I had put my bag as my pillow, as a pillow, and they had left. I reached out for my bag and I called my sister-in-law and I told her, this is where I am, this has happened, and I have six in me. If I manage to pull the stick, I'll try to crawl. But if I don't manage, this is where I am, just come and get me. And
So you are
I
recognizing
didn't,
where you are, given the distance you had walked from the gate where they ordered you
and
to.
yes, I also knew the place very well. This is
Okay.
my home area.
Okay.
Yes. So, but it was a thicket,
Mm.
somewhere where there was a river, and yeah, it was so scary. And they had cut me. They had cut me with a razor or something. I had wounds all over, and I was able to pull the stick, but I was not able to move because of bleeding, and it was so painful. So my sister-in-law came with a friend. We went to the police station, and I was taken to Nairobi the same night, and I was admitted. And so I spent the Christmas of 2017 Nairobi Women. Yeah.
Yes.
So that is where I was treated. And the wounds were so deep because they had put it in me. So I had wounds inside of me. And I was taken to theater also 2 times. But then also counseling and drugs here and there to prevent HIV and hepatitis and all that. But still, I kept things in me. And I would go for counseling and just listen and go home.
Yeah.
This time I had lost hope in God. I didn't want anything to do with God. Yeah. And within some time, I went back to work. But still, I was not healed. Yeah. And I was doing some coaching at Langata Women Prison for 1 month. And after the graduation, they graduated. We stayed home for 1 week before we went back to work. So there's this friend of mine who had come from Greece and I had not seen her. She told me, Celine, I'm leaving tomorrow. Just come with the children and we will have lunch. And I decided, why not, since I'm not working? So I went, I saw her, and we had some good time. And in the evening, my children said they were living with my aunt. I went to my aunt's place for a sleepover. So I left alone and I went to my house. And when I got home, I just took a shower and went to bed since I was not hungry. And at around 1 a.m., it was raining so heavily. I felt some light beaming on my face, and I was so scared. Now I thought these people. When I woke up, I was so scared,
Yes.
and I thought I recollected this might be sad, and I
Yes.
was always on this defense mode.
Mm-hmm.
Pulled me from the bed, and I started thinking, if they take me to that river, they'll kill me. Since now it's raining, they'll drown me. But one thing I kept saying in my heart that I will never die, and they will never touch my spirit.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They dragged me to my sitting room. They tore my night dress, and they did the same thing. They dangled me again, sodomized me again. Then they cut me up with a glass. And for almost 2 hours,
Right.
2 hours. And I remember when they left, I started asking God questions, and I told them, really,
Really? Warrior. Were this the same people who took you at the gate? Were this the same people?
They wore masks that I could, their conversations, I could recall their voices,
Okay.
their colons.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you think it was
Yeah.
an
And the
act of
gun.
finishing you? Were they trying to finish you? What, can you explain it?
I can't really tell because I tried to ask them why, but they didn't tell me anything. But one of them said, next time we will kill you.
Um,
I didn't know what was happening. Yeah. So I remember when they left, I asked God, really, why am I going through all this? What is
exactly.
happening?
Yes.
And I told him, I will not even call anyone. I just want to die. Then I remembered my children and the kind of life I have gone through. And I
Mm.
said, God, and I told them, no, I will not die just for them. So I called a friend of mine and he came and he took me to the hospital again. And this time, the first thing they did is take me to theater because my rectum was badly damaged.
Mm.
They had to take me to theater and
Yes.
stitch me up. And I stayed in hospital for almost 2 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
It was long.
yeah,
That means the damage was so much, the trauma was so deep. This is a
good day.
hard time. I mean, and it's happening, it's always gang rape. It's not easier when it's
Yes.
one, but oh my dearest one.
For them.
Hmm. Look what the Lord has done. Oh my God. Yes, please. Talk to us. Yes.
So I went through a period of suicide thoughts,
Mm.
a period of denial,
Mhm.
betrayal, rejection by friends and betrayal. I would hear things my people used to speak things, to talk things behind my back. Even people I thought will hold my hand, they were never there. They
Yeah.
started speaking things against me. People I even didn't think, and I remember one of them asked, how long does it take to heal from a gang rape? She's taking too long. It was only 2 months after. Yeah, that hurt me so bad. And
You need a new set of
that
friends.
is time.
Could you recruit me? I'll be a good friend.
You know, you're my
A
friend
friend.
now.
Oh my word. Now we can laugh about this. I know we would not have
No, we
come
can laugh
at
about
another point in our lives, but wow. What? Okay. Uh-huh.
yeah. I
Jesus.
also had panic attacks. I would panic in the middle of the road and I would just freeze,
Yes.
freeze there.
Mhm.
It was so hard for me to even walk because I kept looking at my shoulder. If maybe somebody is coming to attack it.
Mhm.
But I thank God for my pastor now, because
Wow.
him and his wife, they really, really stood with me.
Mm.
Actually, he asked me to move from the area. He actually asked someone to look for a house for me and paid for the house.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yeah. So when
Wow.
I left the hospital, I moved to a totally different environment, to a totally different place.
Mhm.
And they really supported me. I could feel the urgency in him reaching out to me, to that deep part of me that was hurting.
Can you please
But,
mention his name so that we're able to celebrate him or her, because we are full of people who are tripping all over the place. So we just want to say, we salute you, man, a woman of God. What is the name? Are you comfortable telling
his
us?
name is yes, 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 yes. His name is Pastor Samuel Mogeke,
Oh, wow.
Living Bread Church, Living Bread Church, and
Amen.
I felt the love of a father in him, because I
Yes.
remember he paid for my rent for 1 year.
What?
He would shop for food. Yeah, and each time I would refuse to pick his calls. Sometimes I would refuse to pick his calls. He would just find find a way to come to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
it has really, and actually, he asked us not to call him dad and mom. He asked
Wow.
us to call him pastor. But I remember him announcing in church, Celine, I am his father. He's qualified to call me father.
The love that
Because
you just did not get. growing up,
Yes.
able to just come and
Yeah.
experience the Father's love, in such a holistic way. Amen. God
Yes.
bless. All right.
Yeah.
So,
And so it was a journey. And I remember one day I told God, counseling will not help me.
mm,
I need you to heal me. Personally, I need you to heal me.
wow.
And
Yeah.
I heard God saying, you need to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, whom do I forgive? And he said, you need to forgive everyone, starting from yourself and your mother. I felt so justified. Terry, I felt so justified. As in, how can I forgive all these people? You asking me
I know.
how,
Yes. Yes.
how? And the Lord said, I am able to heal you, but you need to forgive. And when I started forgiving those people, I remember the first person I called was the uncles who used to molest us.
Mm,
Hard.
that's a hard one.
It was
That's a
so
hard
hard for
thing.
me,
And
but I felt it.
Helen, have you realized, and I think I've seen this with my life, and as you're talking to me, and many others, that every time we go before the Lord and feel like we have a right and we are telling him, what God, you need to do and where were you and all this and he just stops us
Mm,
right on our track and says, hold up, I want to deal with you first. I want to do
yes.
you. It's you first. He wants to deal with you first before he goes out and he tells you you need to let it go.
Mm,
You need to forgive. You. So it becomes
mm,
you're wondering, me? How about we start with them? But I think God's love is so whole. He knows that uh, we cannot control other people, but there's a way you can control yourself. There's a way you can carry yourself. There's a grace that He wants to give
mm,
you because of the love that He so deeply has for each and every one of
mm,
us. I'm sure it was such a
mm.
time where you were asking yourself questions and it was so hard for you to even do what the Lord was asking you to do, or how easy was it for you?
It was so hard for me. But this time, my husband now was in my life. And he was
Oh,
just a friend, just a friend,
just
my
a
best friend.
friend,
That
yes.
person, yes, that person I would call in the middle of the night and tell him this is going on and this is going on. And he really walked with me. And I would tell me, God is saying this. And he would tell me, Celine, you're capable of doing this. And I would ask him how. And he's so gentle. He's, he's the opposite of me.
Yes,
So
yes.
gentle. Yeah. And actually, he had bore the brunt of my pain.
Whoa.
And he
Uh-huh.
stood with me and he said, Celine, I will hold your hand till the end. And so I called him up. I called my uncle and I told him I need to meet you. And he said, I have been looking on how I will ever meet you because I need to apologize. Yeah. And so I told him where we will meet and when.
Yes,
He came, he's
yeah.
so fit, he has diabetes and all that. And he said, I think the cause of my suffering is this. I keep thinking about what I did to you, what we did to you, what we did to you, and it's hurting me, it's eating me. And I told him, no, I have already forgiven you. I hold no grudge. The only other person who will apologize to is God. I hold nothing against you. And may the Lord heal you completely so that you can enjoy his goodness in this earth. And he cried. Have you
He,
ever seen a man cry? He cried. He
okay, so
cried. He
what you're
really
saying is
cried.
that he accepted he actually did it.
Yes, he
Okay,
accepted.
okay.
It knew there and then that God was in this. And I need to now start forgiving the others.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I forgive my relatives now, my dad's brothers and sisters for the
Exactly.
beatings and because I held them so much in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And each time I would look at my scars, I would feel like I don't want to forgive them. But then God really tries to forgive them.
Mm.
And you know what? Finally, after 30 years, I looked for my mom. I didn't know how she even looked like. But
Wow.
for the first time last year, October, I met her. And she's a copy and paste of me.
Seriously?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
So what
yeah.
did she
And
tell you was
I
the
didn't.
reason for her leaving? Was it you as a children? Was it your father? What was that about?
It was my father, and she said that she had nowhere to take us, and she
Hmm.
left us to the at the place she felt we were safe because she had nowhere to go with us. And I didn't even want to know why she left actually. And I remember I knelt down and asked her to forgive me for all the time I have cursed her.
Wow. Wow. See what God
Yes.
does? I mean, that he just turns it around. You didn't care why he left it, why she left in the first place. You didn't care the circumstances surrounding it. All you needed to know was this is my mother. I am sorry for whatever it is.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
good Lord. That can
And,
only be God.
and then when she hugged me, I felt the pain in her, and she told me she had asked God for this woman all
Mm.
her life. She had told God to never let to not let her die before she sees her children. Me and my brother, my younger brother.
Right. Yes.
And yeah, and it was such a glorious moment. And I forgave my mother.
Yes.
And now God asked me to forgive those who downgraded me. I didn't know them, but God asked me to let go. And I remember I locked myself in for 2 good days, trying to justify, to ask God how
Yeah.
how can I forgive these people? And God said there is grace. And one day I locked myself in and I cried for 1 hour. And I felt like a burden was being lifted off my shoulder. Yeah,
Amazing.
like someone had just taken a burden off.
Literally. I know that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I felt like I was lighter.
Mhm.
I felt like you lighter.
Yes.
And after 2 days, I went to counseling and I broke down and I broke down and I talked now from a point of the things I kept inside me.
Look at that.
And I told my counselor, I am not here because I am not healed. I am healed, but I will continue coming for this session. But inside me, I am healed.
Wow.
And she even said she saw a new person, as in not this person who would always come and sit and stare at her and
Mhm.
wonder what she said. Now I started sharing my story. And God brought new people in my life. And I think it came from that point of accepting this has happened.
Mhm.
You don't have to dwell in it, and
Yeah.
it does not define you. You
Yeah.
are not that thing that happened to you. And you don't have to look at other people, other men like all they can do is rape you or do something.
Mm.
And also it helps because my husband now, sometimes I would push him away. He would call and I would push him away. Sometimes he would try to
You
talk
know,
to me.
actually, I want us to talk. You to talk to us about, how that process of meeting your husband, because that's really beautiful. But even before that, you said something
Mm-hmm.
about, and I've seen this in my life, that it's very, very important. I normally say you can go for counseling. Pastors can come and pray for you. You can read 1,001 books. But until you decide that I'm now on this path and I want to get healing and I am ready for this, there will be absolutely no change. Is that right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that what you're echoing as well?
I
Because
absolutely right. Yes.
absolutely, because you had at one point you had a very good support system around you, but then
Mm-hmm.
came until you looked at the mirror, so to speak, and then you said, you know what, I have to deal with this monster, and you had to lock yourself in the room, and the pain and the tears.
Yes.
And I agree with you because you actually feel like it's literally a burden is lifted off of you when you're dealing with this kind of strain that you have encountered in your life, and especially in your case, it was so heavy. Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, you were
I didn't
hanging.
hear your question. I just, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Entry repeat. Well, the willpower has to come from you. It
Absolutely.
is you who need the healing, and it has to come from you.
Absolutely.
And okay, I've worked with people who keep holding on to the past, keep holding on to the pain, but you stagnate there because you cannot let go. You
Mm.
cannot. What hurt you is still inside you. But
Yeah.
I want to tell you that you will stagnate. Let
Mm.
go and let God. And it is not for them. It is for you so that you can heal and be able to be a vessel for God to use. You
Absolutely.
also need to move on to your life. You also need you also need to move on with your life. But
Yes.
if you keep holding to the past, that will not happen because you'll be seeing things every day to offend, to things that hurt you, things that offend you, and you'll always go back to the past and remember this person did this to me. I will hold on. And actually, funny, I got this revelation recently that you might be holding on to someone, and that someone does not even remember that they hurt you. They are
Uh,
moving on with life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes, yes. I normally tell people the
so
same thing. I normally say, for this rapist, maybe that is their career. I mean, for lack of a better word. So they go around raping
yes,
people and you're holding on, saying, you know what, I will never forgive, I will never forgive. They don't care. No, they don't even think about you, honey. I mean, they moved
exactly.
on to the next victim, so to speak. So you
Yes,
need to give it to
yes,
yourself that forgiveness is for you, empower you, release the load off of you. It is yours so that you're able to become whole
yes,
again and you keep moving. So it is yours. I totally
yes.
agree. Selling, please talk to us about your husband. That was another miracle altogether. How God beautifully pieced you up. I mean, I never hear you warrior. We have to do something together. It's so beautiful because it reminds me of my own testimony, how I overheard about your wedding, you know. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about?
Well, he was my best friend. Just that our relationship was friendship.
Yes.
And for 1 year, I enjoyed our relationship as friends. And I
Mhm.
would actually look for girls in some other group who was a moderator and tell
Mm.
me, you should date this girl. She looks like a nice girl.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I knew God had spoken to me about him, but he
Mhm.
had not spoken to him about me. So I knew God was cooking something. But I told God, at this time, I am not ready. All I need is to heal. Maybe after 1 year or 2 years, we can think about marriage.
Yeah.
But who is God? And one day he came and
Yeah.
asked me, I think I need to see you. He used to live in Nakuru. I'm in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the urgency? He said, I am coming in the morning and I need to see you. When he came with a ring
Wow.
and a cake. And
What?
he said, I want you to be my woman. That was last year around September.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wow.
And he said, Celine, I need you to be my woman and I want to marry you. And
And
I looked at him like,
he knew everything about you, right? He knew about all the calamities, for lack of a better word.
everything,
I mean,
everything,
Celine,
everything.
is he a widower?
No,
How many
he's
children
not
do
a
you have
divorcee.
out there?
He has no children at all. Actually, he's a clean man.
I'm just asking you this because so many times with our kinds of testimonies, people believe that we're supposed to get and I'm not saying widows are not, are not a good
Yeah,
deal or anything. It's just that people think you're not supposed to be happy. People think you're supposed to get, so to speak, a leftover of a person, if you're a man or a woman. But it's just it's wrong because I am sure there were some friends who were looking at you with a side eye, thinking you don't deserve to get this kind of a
I
man.
got that a lot. Actually, he got that a lot. What did you see in her? She had grown children. She had gone through this. Actually, so many of them would call him and tell him, do you know Celine was in prison? Yes. Do you know Celine was down? Yes. Do you know children? Celine has gone through this. Yes, I know all that, and I am going to marry
Mm.
her.
Mm. Oh, people,
and
people. Yes. Uh-huh. So, so you said yes? And then you started
I
organizing your
said,
wedding.
yes.
What happened, Celine? What happened?
And so we decided we're not going to do a wedding because
Yeah.
there was some issues with his pastor. He didn't want him to get married to me,
Mm-hmm.
of course. And my pastor is not allowed to do so. Not yet. He's not registered to hold weddings.
Okay.
So we decided to go to the AG
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to church, to our church, and get blessings.
Blessing,
Who
yes.
is like God? I had a dress, a dress, a pink dress. I decided I had planned to wear that dress, and we would just do some simple lunch with our friends, few
Yeah.
friends and family,
Yes.
and just go home. But who is like God?
Mm.
A week,
Mm.
very week before my wedding, things
I
turned around.
yes. Yes. I am excited. I know this love you're talking about. Yes. Amen. Amen.
We got
Come
a free
on.
wedding gown.
Uh,
Everything I wore except the ring were from other people. I just sat down and they would call and tell me, Celine, go to the salon, money. I'm sending money. Celine, go for counseling, I'm sending
come
money.
on.
Celine, go and mention your
You
dress, I'm
know,
sending
the book of Isaiah it talks about for every shame, the Lord is going to give you double portion. I keep saying you can't just go through all the valleys and the mountains and everything, and then you still come out your chain. Nah, God has a way of spinning things around. He says all things, not
money.
some things, all things will work together for good for those who love Him. Oh my goodness.
And my pastor said, it's like God was showing off with you. Even the way that wedding was, it was a very beautiful wedding. The grounds, everything. I sometimes I just even I don't have it.
It's
I don't
them.
even know what to say about it.
Yes.
Do you know the lady who made my nails took a flight from Mombasa to just come and do my nails and then went back. Yes,
Is that not God? Like, is that not
that is.
God?
And this is not someone I know. These are not people I knew before.
No.
These are they were strangers. They were strangers.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So
God
now
is.
you're married.
And to my best friend. He
Look
is
at
my
that.
best friend.
And He loves your
This guy is my
children.
best.
Those are now your
He
children.
loves him absolutely. Yes, absolutely. The bond is like this. Sometimes I'm even jealous.
I know. That's so
Yes,
beautiful. That is so beautiful. One day I'm gonna have him on this hot seat. I need to talk to him. I need to do surgery on his brain and say, tell me what were you thinking? What was
let
going
me tell
on?
you
How did you
something.
come from Nakuru to Nairobi so urgently? That is
I
so.
know when he heard about this meeting,
Mhm.
he said, since you won't log in from our laptop, we'll use your phone. And since I don't want you to to hold your phone like this because you'll be tired, I'm going to buy you like a stick to hold the phone. And he just went out of his way and brought me this. And so now you can have your meeting comfortably.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, please tell him. Salute to him. Thank you so much for loving such a beautiful warrior. Yes, yes, yes. That is what God can do. I am so excited. Celine, please tell us we are so past time. I wasn't even planning to finish because this is so sweet. It's so beautiful to see how God turns things around. So beautiful to see how God can get you from such a dark place and put you at a place of honor. That's the kind of God we serve. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Please tell us some of your parting shots, something that you want to put across to our viewers today and those, of course, who will catch up with this recording much later.
What I want to tell our viewers tonight is that pain does not define you. Your experiences do not define you.
Come on.
And it doesn't matter what you have gone through. Let go and let God. Put your trust in Him. Put your faith in Him. Let go. Just let go of every baggage that is laying in you and let him make you a vessel and let him use you for the glory of God. Because I keep saying that my pain was not mine, it was for others. Because tomorrow I'll meet with another woman going through issues and tell them, look at me, I have been through this and I've been able to conquer it. I've been through pain and I don't look like I have been through pain. Because God is able to beautify things.
He does.
And God is able to beautify you.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
And forgiveness is important.
Okay.
Forgiveness is important. Not for you, not for them, but for you. Just let go and let God.
Yes, for you.
Yes.
I couldn't have put it any better.
It's such a pleasure having you.
I couldn't have put it any better. Viewers, that has been Selling. I mean, follow her. She's on social media. She's a very deep well. She encourages deeply and she has amazing insights. You will be blessed. You will be blessed. And I know there's so much more that is cooking up in the closet because God has brought her from so far. Today, our till is right here on my backdrop. That is our till today. And this is the life of a survivor. I will take time and explain this to you one of these Wednesdays. This is the life of a survivor. And what Selin was talking about, reaching inward so that you ensure that peace is with you, about letting go, about what? It is right here in the middle, amidst all this chaos. And some patches will look like it's okay, but until you get right in the middle of it all and say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm tired of being sad. I'm tired of being angry. I am tired of living, shortchanging myself. There has to be better until you get to that point as a survivor, as a warrior of any kind, then you will not be able to rise above it all. You've heard it from Selin. I couldn't have put it any better. She's been through it not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times. First, it was introduced in a very subtle way. And then the other 3 times, it was so huge. It's not just one person. We're talking about again raping. And it was front, it's back, it's surgery upon surgery. We're talking about one person.
8.
But God just never gets done. He says, you know what? I still have so much more. Yes, Selene, you wanted to say something?
8 surgeries in a span of 2 years.
8 surgeries later, 3 gang rape, molestation by relatives, people that you can trust. So we're talking about relatives, we're talking about strangers, we're talking about a friend letting you down when you give the ATM PIN number. I mean, what are you still doing on the floor, lady or gentleman? What are you still doing when you're all tears? This is a good time for you to rise up and say, I have to reach out for better. I have to reach out for more because my life is not just supposed to end where it is. This is a good time for you to reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to Selene, just reach out and say something needs to give. I am so grateful to you, Selene. Thank you so much for coming on today. I know I will call you again so that we can talk more about, the little lessons that you got to learn here and there throughout your journey. I think that is going to be very profitable for people who are listening to us and watching us today and those who will catch up later. And let me tell you, remember till. Every time, remember till. Pastor, remember till, even without doing anything. Till is the color of sexual assault survivors. It's in support of the sexual, abuse, assault, harassment survivors. Let me tell you, you need to do something. Whenever you remember the color teal, let it prompt you to either protect, report, or support. We need you. In Helen's journey, you heard there was a pastor who uplifted her. There was a friend who uplifted her. There were people along the way who uplifted her. In as much as she needed to reach within her, there were people who were willing to say, here is some rent, here is some food. We need your support. Survivors across the world need your support. Again, thank you, Selene. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
finding time to be here with
Thank
us.
you.
That has been our time. We know we've gone a little overboard, but that has been our time. Thank you so much. Let's meet again next Wednesday for another Warrior Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we will be praying for our children. Every first Wednesday of the month, we take time to commit our children before the Lord, survivors before the Lord. Prayer changes so much. Amidst all the advocacy, all the policy changing, prayer changes so much. We would rather work with prevention than aftermath. So please join us. Again, thank you. God bless you. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you
Thank
too.
you. Bless you.